Hello friends, welcome to part 3. We're just going to get right into it today. The only thing I have left to do is take off the fan pulley. We're going to make sure that we take the key out so the key doesn't fall out and we don't lose it. And we just have to take the magneto off. The key's not coming right out. Sometimes they come right off, but I don't know. We'll see if that stays on there. I'll just leave it for now. I'll move this out of the way. See if you're pretty much in view. I don't think so. Yeah, there's the magneto there. Okay, so right here you have the coupler, and that's just to adjust the timing. I brought it to top dead center, and the bolt head will be facing up, but we don't want to loosen that. That's only to adjust the timing. Alright, so we just leave that on there, and we're just going to take the 2 mounting bolts off here, and I can't get the wire off, and I don't want to break it since it's the original wire also. And normally when we put it back together, we won't have to do anything with the timing because we're not loosening the coupler here. So as long as that bolt is facing you up here, the head of the bolt, you're good. What I use is a quarter-inch drive. It's a flat ratchet. It's a Craftsman, and a shallow 9/16 socket. I had this off once already, so I already loosened the bolts anyway. But sometimes you'll have to use a wrench to loosen the bolts. And the easiest way to do this is to take the tire off. That's usually the easiest way to do it. Once you loosen these bolts, a lot of times you could just get them with your fingers. Now the 73 C8, I could only use the ratchet on one bolt. I guess it's the way the casting is that holds the magneto on. Okay, so we have the 2 bolts out. And then we have the spacer here. Okay, so I'm going to just stick the bolts right back into the bottom of the magneto here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrub this magneto clean. I'll probably just use like Windex or something, nothing too harsh, because I don't want to ruin the finish on the magneto. But we're not worried about that until we're doing the cleaning on everything. Next thing we'll do is we'll disconnect the gas tank from the fan shroud here, and we're using the 7/16 socket and the 7/16 wrench. I'm gonna have to get the hose around this, so I have to pull this back a little bit. Okay, you don't want to take this nut and bolt all the way off the band because it's a pain to get the band back on. So this is where the band fastens to the shroud. We want to get that nut and bolt off. Wow, somebody actually used the washer. That's pretty cool. Now you just pop the band right off. We're not going to have to do anything with this gas tank but clean it, and then I'll just paint it the cherry red. And this is a band right here. I'll clean the band up real good. I'll get all the paint off it. There's a spacer in between here. And like I said, if you take the nut all the way off, this thing just spreads apart. And I'll most likely put it back together before we install the tank and the housing back on the tractor after we're done. Make sure you're still somewhat in view there. Yeah, I think so. Maybe we'll lift it a hair. This is caked up with dirt. This is a real mess, like I said. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the fan off. Clean that up real good and paint the fan too. And then that'll give us more access to clean everything up in here and paint it. Go a little farther. That's safe. This is so cruddied up that I can barely even get the wrench on there. So you're going to want to take the gas cap off to pass the tank through. And here we have it off. It's a little dented on the bottom, but I don't care. The rest of the tank looks pretty good here. So I'll clean it up and then we'll paint that, like I said. The fan nut comes off clockwise, like any other bolt, nut and bolt. So I'll do that off camera. I might not do that now. What I want to do now is concentrate on cleaning the engine and the transmission on the tractor. And then after that, I'm going to roll the tractor back up closer. I got it down there because I don't have to use water and stuff to rinse it off after I degrease it. I might have to degrease it a few times. I don't know what it's going to take. And then I'll come back to you when we're going to jack it up. And I want to prop the tractor up and probably pull the wheels off. I'll have to put the snow plow back on to jack it up, unless I can figure out some other way to do it. Okay, so I spent about an hour to an hour and a half degreasing the whole tractor. I'll show it to you when we're done. So what I did so far is I put the snow plow back on it. I jacked it up from the back. And I have two jack stands, one on each side underneath. So I'm going to pop the tires off. Then I'll probably have to jack up the nose here and prop something under the plow because I want it to be up in the air. When it was level, I did check the oil. This has a petcock down here you got to check the oil with. And the oil is still full. I noticed in the storage it leaks from the left side there, so I don't know what. I really don't know what's leaking right now. So yeah, if you could see it, I have a jack stand under there. So this way it'll be easier to find the oil leak, having the whole tractor propped up. But like I said, the tractor has to be level. I'll go around the other side, pop the other wheel off. Then I'll lower the jack. And then I'll probably have to put the jack under here to jack up the plow. We'll see what happens here. This jack stands not under here that great, but it'll be alright. That's pretty level there. I think it should be alright. Alright, so I'll prop something under the plow to keep it up in the air, and I'll take the jack out. So I cleaned it all up. Came out pretty good. I had to go over it 2 or 3 times, but it's okay. Transmission needs paint really bad. So this came out pretty good here. The oil filter, I can't do much about that. Because if I take the oil filter out, it'll be an oily mess. So I'm probably just going to paint around it or whatever. That's it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'll prop the plow up and then I'll be back to you tomorrow, see if we can find an oil leak on it. Well, it's the next morning and everything seems to be dry under here, but down by the drain plug here I felt oil. Can you see me? Yeah, right down here. I don't know if I should try to get a copper washer. I was using those nylon or whatever they were, and those didn't work too well. I'm wondering if I should just take out the drain plug. I'll drain the oil into a coffee can and maybe put some Teflon tape around the threads here. Maybe that would work. But everything else under here is very dry. Everything. So let me take this out and see what I can do. I'll see if I can find if I have a copper washer that's a 1/2 inch. Maybe I'll try that. But I want to definitely stop the oil leak before we continue painting and everything. So I'll be back. Okay, so I pulled the drain bolt out. And it turns out that the casting here, where the bolt sits, it's the casting actually. It's very rigid. I thought it was a piece of gasket at first, but it's not. I took the scraper and tried to scrape it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my die grinder that has a sanding disc on it. You could actually file metal down with this. So I'm going to try to file it down as best as I could. And I'm still going to use the Teflon tape on the drain plug here. Even if we put a gasket on here, it still wouldn't have seated. And I don't know what happened with the casting. I don't know if somebody was beating it with a hammer. I don't know what the story was with this. But that's where the leak was. So I'm going to just try to it's a little bit better. How this happened, I don't know. Yeah, it's getting better. It's going to take a little work to do. I'll get back to you when I put the Teflon tape on the bolt. I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so I took the die grinder with the sanding disc and I cleaned this up really good with it. And then I took some brake clean and cleaned the whole bolt here. Okay, now with the Teflon tape, it's a little windy. I'm probably going to have a little problem here. Okay, your bolt's going to screw in clockwise back into the housing there. So what you're going to want to do is, since this is turning in this way, you want to take the Teflon tape, okay, and you want to start it with the end facing this way and just keep twisting it on. This way when you screw the bolt in, where you started it or where you end it won't affect it none. So I don't know, I think I'm going to go maybe 2 revolutions here with it. And then when I'm finished, I usually just cut it with the scissors instead of pulling it to cut it. Alright, so in other words, here, you can see where I'm going with this. So when you screw it in and then you cut the excess off here, right, when you screw it into the housing, you don't have a chance of it unraveling. And that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish doing this, install it back in the tractor, fill it with oil, and then we'll check it in a couple of days. Okay, so we're lucky if that's the only oil leak problem that there was. That's what I'm hoping. So I buttoned that all up. I put the drain plug back on and with the Teflon tape, and I put oil in it, back in it. I saved the oil that I took out. So I was thinking of using some steel wool and WD to clean off the bottom end here. I don't know what kind of metal. It's a light metal. It's like aluminum or something. I'm not sure exactly what. But I want to try to avoid painting this to silver. I want to leave it like original if we could. But let's see what happens here. It's either going to make a botch job or try to wipe it off to see what it looks like here. I don't think it's making a difference at all. Maybe I'll do it a little more and I will take some parts cleaner that I have here. Walmart was out of brake clean. Let me just go and get a clean rag real quick. I'm sorry. So earlier in the video when I was telling you about the cooling fan, the nut comes off counterclockwise like normal. I think I said clockwise. That would be a reverse thread. Let's hit it with some more WD. And then I'll clean it off with, I'm running out of WD. There's one spot here. And here. Doesn't look like that's working too good. I'll probably just end up painting the whole thing here. Alright, let me see how far we are into this video here. And I'll be right back to you. It's 2 days later, and let's see if we fixed the oil leak here. You can't really see me here, but okay, I'm feeling all the way underneath. Nothing. Over by the drain plug, nothing. So it's probably the casting that was the problem. I really didn't like to fix it the way we did. Maybe if I just grinded down the surface. Well, I sanded down the surface. Maybe just the plug would have been good enough. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to, next time we need to change the oil on one of these, this one we just changed the oil, so it doesn't need an oil change, of course, because we just fixed this thing up to get it running. I believe the oil plug, I believe the thread is a 1/2 inch thread. I think it's a half inch thread, 20, a coarse thread it would be. And I want to see if Napa has any drain plugs with a halfway decent surface with a gasket on it. I want to see if they have those. I think from now on that's what I'm going to do. On each tractor I'll check that surface and make sure it's smooth, for one thing. That was the biggest problem with this. I think using the Teflon tape is not really a bad thing to do. Should be all right. Okay, so in the last segment, what I did was I was taking WD-40 and I was using steel wool. I can't even talk right today. I was using steel wool on this to clean it up because I really don't want to paint this bottom end, the silver part here. What I decided to do is I took some rubbing compound and then I used the steel wool. And you guys let me know what you think, if I should just leave this alone like this. It didn't come out too bad, really. It's not that bad. But you won't see any of this once we put the fan shroud back on. And then I'll show you this side here. I don't know, it looks halfway decent to me. I'm thinking I might just let it go with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to degrease the hub. And oh, incidentally, this is the compound I used. I used this, and it seemed to work pretty good, better than the WD-40, I would say. Once I clean up the hubs real good, I'm gonna have to degrease them. I'll probably be using the die grinder with the sanding pad on it, and then I have this with the wire brush. I'm gonna clean this up really good here. We may start painting today. I don't know yet. I have some index cards. I'm gonna just mask this oil filter here. I'm gonna have to mask the oil pressure gauge, mask around here, and maybe we'll do some black today up on top here. And yeah, that's gonna be about it for now. So yeah, leave in the comments what you think about that, about the bottom end here. Okay, so I degreased the hubs and in here a little bit, and I just ran that wire brush here, smooth out excuse me, the pollen again, just to smooth everything out real good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint everything black, and then I'm going to get the high heat silver paint for the top end here. And I think I decided not to paint that bottom crankcase, the silver part. I'm not going to paint that. I'm going to leave it like that. I think it came out good, but still let me know in the comments what you think. Okay, so I masked off the oil filler cap. I used some index cards to cover the oil filter. We just changed this oil filter but to make a little bit of a neater job, I did that. And I masked this too here, so we don't get any black paint on the bottom crankcase. The oil pressure gauge, I masked that. And I think I'm going to start painting the black. I'll do as much as I can here. And to do the bottom part, I'll have to put the tires back on it, pop the plow off. This way I can angle the tractor back and then angle it forward to get underneath. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'll come back to you after I'm done painting the top part here. And I think we're going to close this video. I think it's getting to be a half hour now video here. Also what I did was I put the fan belt pulley on it so I could turn the engine, because when I paint this I'm going to have to turn this. This is the magneto drive shaft. I'll turn this so I could paint that real good. And I don't know, I'll put 2 or 3 coats of paint, see how it looks. And alright, so I'll get right back to you. Okay, so I have the whole top of the machine painted black. I don't know how well you could see it with the sun glare and everything. Came out pretty good. I think I did about 3 coats. With my eyesight, it looks like there's no runs. But moving right along here. We still have a lot of parts to degrease, sand down to bare metal, and paint. So a lot of that to do yet. Did this side too. And then I took and I turned the fan belt pulley to spin this around so I could paint this whole thing here. Can you see it? Right here. Yeah. So I think it came out alright. And like I said, I'll paint the hub silver with that high temperature heat paint because I want them to be silver. So I'm gonna, after I paint the top end with the high heat silver, I don't know, I'm gonna try to paint the muffler. Usually it doesn't last because when I did my 67 L8, the paint just burned right off that real quick. Even when you buy these mufflers brand new, the paint don't last very long on there anyway. But I'm not worried about that so much. I'll paint the manifold and everything. This is all cleaned up. I had a spark plug. This has that big spark plug in it. I had one that I used to use for painting, but what I'll do is I'll just take this plug out and mask it off. Because the plug is still good. I do have a brand new one, but it's not needed. You know? I think this worked out okay too. Using the index cards for the oil filter to cover that up. And I almost forgot the oil petcock here to check the oil. I just stuck some tape around there. I did their brass. And I don't know, for the most part it looks pretty good. It's coming along fine. So I'm going to let this dry most of the day. It's a quick drying paint. Oh, let me show you the paint. This is the paint that I use from Walmart. It's fast drying. I don't know if this is the same paint here, where they just changed the, I don't know if they just changed the can, but this is fast drying also, and it's semi-gloss black, so that's good. I had a whole can and a half left from the last project I did, and I bought 3 more cans of black paint, but we'll be using a lot of that. Normally what I do is, instead of priming it, when you prime parts and then you have to sand them down and everything, I just use this black paint as a base coat even after I sand everything down to bare metal, and I never ever had a problem with it. I don't know if I mentioned it in this video or the last video or what. I kind of lost track. I have a lot of segments I have to put together for part 3 here, and I hope somebody got something out of this, or at least you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next week, next Thursday. Well, why am I telling you that? You'll just see the video when it comes out. Thanks for watching. Take care.